back like the seats of an 86 Delta 88 coupe on D's and Bones, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Going live in a minute, Blizzard King. This is Winter Dennis Sperling Podcast. You are rocking with the realest black men represented. Ain't no lies, cause we winning. Catching flies, ain't no feelings. Uncle D, we the villain, baby. We just left the village, baby. Now we in them villas, baby. Dennis Sperling Podcast, tuning in, we get it, baby. You can hate the player, hate the game. We love all you haters. Hate watch, hate watch. Calling lovely ladies, hands on your knees, bitch, please. You can thank us later. We snatching the crowns off of queens, we obliterate them. Tell the truth, shame the devil, they trying to eliminate us. You begging the sipping haters, peeling layers off of haters. Whoa, Southern Cadillac music like Outkast. Ain't jumping without bass. Dennis Sperling Podcast. Whoa, Southern Cadillac music like Outkast. Ain't jumping without bass. Dennis Sperling Podcast. Whoa.
We have to clean up what's going on in our house before we do anything else.
At these polls, and we're looking at who is voting for Trump. You've got 53% of white women that voted for him in 2020. We've got to reach those women. We've got to reach those people. We've got to reach the Cuban men in Miami that overwhelmingly voted for Trump. So she talked
to keep me.
We've got to reach those ridiculous, crazy black men that did vote for Trump.
So let me get this straight. If I vote for a party that can't define what a woman is, I'm no longer ridiculous or crazy. If I vote for a party that wants boys in my daughter's sports and restrooms, I'm no longer ridiculous or crazy. If I vote for a party that thinks they can pander to me using kente cloths and hot sauce, I'm no longer crazy. If I vote for a party that has done nothing but destroy my community for the last 60 years and open the borders in order to replace my vote and destroy my community further, I'm no longer crazy. If I vote for the party that wanted to keep me from voting, wanted to keep Jim Crow, wanted to keep slavery, the party of the Klan, I'm no longer crazy. And I'm no longer crazy or ridiculous if I vote for the candidate who's been in the office as vice president for the last 3.5 years and admitted to having a large part in pushing the harmful policies that have hurt my country, who can't answer basic questions and is quite possibly the worst candidate in American history, says she's going to bring change while at the same time admitting there's nothing she'd change about the last 3.5 years, and made us the laughing stock of the world. And you think I'm the crazy one. I think it's crazy you think I should vote for a candidate based on skin color rather than how their policies will affect my life. It's pretty sick.
We've got to
Ask us why black men would vote for Trump. Ask yourself why the Democrat Party has become so out of touch with the very people who have been your most loyal supporters for decades. If Trump, with all his baggage, is looking like a viable alternative, that's a sign that you're seriously failed us. And here's the thing, I want you to understand something.
I also want to say that seems to be more pronounced with the brothers.
Yeah, okay.
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
So if you don't mind, just for a second, I'm going to speak to y'all directly.
You stupid.
President Obama's recent suggestion that black men may be hesitant to vote for you because you're a woman.
Let me first say that I'm very proud to have the support of former President Barack Obama.
Ooh, baby, you're especially kind of stupid, aren't you?
And I think that the important point that I will make over and over again is I don't assume to have the vote of any demographic locked down. I have to earn their vote. And I'm going to work as I've been to earn that vote and to win on November 5th.
Why do you support Trump over Kamala?
I speak more for the bigot to show you who he is than the girl who a bigot and don't want nobody to know. That's why it's on TV. Tell, lie, vision.
Baby, I don't smoke blunts. Don't assume, don't make an ass out yourself, cause dollars is what we all want. Don't pander to me, please stand up. Respect what I need, and weed ain't one. Keep us high and string us up. Hangman, money raining on immigrants doing the running man. Vote like black women, she twerking ass. All gender bathrooms, perverted ass. Black men, we built this, check the books. Yeah, believe it or not, your looks. Intellectual far from uneducated. FBA, what you say, I'm regulated. When black men make it, get agitated. White ice is colder, niggas elevated. Revolution is evolution, emancipated. Hate the woman who made you hella hated. Why you uplift everybody who ain't related? Politics, you find out who really playing. Vote black, but get nothing. Sit on the couch and still nothing. Vote the same each time that we getting hustled. A nigga change his mind, nigga screaming you. It bees that. So tell your mama and tell Kamala to tell Michelle Obama.
President Barack Obama. The congregation of black men does not need your advice or your guidance on who to vote for.
Number one, Kamala did not grow up like that. She grew up in upper middle class. Really, that don't matter. I'm voting on policies, and her policies suck. So Obama, keep your mouth shut.
Think about it.
Think about it.
I spree now off the plantation. Independent, no commitment to the clan
nation. There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's Kentucky.
Shame on me. Never fool me again, my votes ain't free.
Fool me, we can't get fooled again.
It's for my family, yeah, abortions. Black men I salute, yeah, they can't afford us. Why you think they play us all like we ain't important? Our women taking flights, you know they can't ignore us. Divide and conquer, me and my mama, Trump or Kamala. Where them black dollars? You voting white, what Kamala did it. Her husband white, her step kiddies.
The only piece of advice I would have for her in the event that she wins would be to let her husband Doug anywhere near the nannies. Just keep him away. That's a messy one.
Her white granny, her black nanny. Michael Jackson will be proud of his sister Janet.
The rumor that Janet Jackson is mad at you because you prosecuted her brother, the late great Michael Jackson. That's on the internet. Clear that up for people.
That's just not true.
I know.
Yeah, on either count.
She's not mad at you?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I have not talked.
Bear with me for a second. Let me put y'all on game.
The child will be able to recall and recollect with some detail the incident, and that is persuasive to a jury, even if it is the only testimony that is available.
Gotcha,
She got his back. That's for life with it. You support, turn around, they stick a knife in it.
Thank you, Jan. Thank you very much.
We not the same. Just see you on the bus. 400 years and change. Your family broken up. Buck broken us. You not from the dust.
As they say, they not like us.
Nah, they not.
Is there ever a situation where a female leads?
Never. Never.
You still don't get it when we spit it. You are not like us. I don't need your help. I can think out for myself. Keep out our biz. I can think out for myself. I need your help. I can think out for myself. Keep out our biz. I can think out for myself. I don't need your help. I can think out for myself. Can keep out our biz. I can think out for myself.
When you look at President Barack Obama's political behavior in the White House towards African Americans, I cannot, in good conscience, want any African American boy to emulate the neglect that their president has shown for African Americans.
So let me get this straight. If I vote for a party that can't define what a woman is, I'm no longer ridiculous or crazy. If I vote for a party that wants boys in my daughter's sports and restrooms, I'm no longer ridiculous or crazy. If I vote for a party that thinks they can pander to me using kente cloths and hot sauce, I'm no longer crazy. If I vote for a party that has done nothing but destroy my community for the last 60 years and open the borders in order to replace my vote and destroy my community further, I'm no longer crazy. If I vote for the party that wanted to keep me from voting, wanted to keep Jim Crow, wanted to keep slavery, party of the Klan, I'm no longer crazy.
We somehow don't like women. Man, if you don't get your ass up out of here, Yo, light the White House color ass.
So Barack Hussein Obama, kiss our ass.
All them signs that say black voters, that was very offensive. That was very racist. And I'm gonna say that. That was very racist. If it was Donald Trump and he had signs up that said black voters, literally CNN would be spinning that all damn day calling him a racist.
Respectfully, President Obama, what you said is not acceptable.
Is it?
What's up? Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the broadcast. Shout out to Fifi Goncourt, Mark the Freelancers, my man, Animal Advocate. I know that's the lady. Shout out to Animal Advocate. I guess she really is an animal advocate. Shout out to you. Shout out to everybody in the chat room, man. Y'all hit the #1 button, man. This is Uncle D. I'd like to give a big shout out to everybody who came through. Look, fam, we are talking about same thing we've been talking about. You know what I'm saying? I want to make sure that you all understand that what we're dealing with right now is a tough political season. And we expect that, this is going to be a very, very interesting election, depending on what happens. But the bottom line is, look, this young lady, I'm going to go ahead and play this video.
She talked about the women and the Hispanic men. But when it was time to talk about black men, she called them the crazy, ridiculous black men. Yeah, you heard me right. The crazy, ridiculous black men. It's truly outrageous, and in fact, it is dangerous. And there are connective tissues to how Black American men have been treated historically in this country. In other words, this moment from President Barack Obama giving a stern lecturing to black men, to Sunny on ABC's The View, mainstream media referring to black men as both crazy and ridiculous.
All right, so what this sister is talking about is this. She's talking about
these
this.
polls, and we're looking at who is voting for Trump. You've got 53% of white women that voted for him in 2020. We've got to reach those women. We've got to reach those ridiculous, crazy black men.
What? Somebody type ridiculous, crazy black men in the chat room.
Those ridiculous, crazy black men that did vote for Trump. We've got to reach those people. We've got to.
Somebody type ridiculous, crazy black men that voted for Trump.
Those ridiculous, crazy black men that did vote for Trump. We've got to reach those people. We've got to reach the Cuban men in Miami that overwhelmingly voted for Trump.
Did she call the Cuban men did she say the crazy, ridiculous Cuban men in Miami? Did she say that? Let's listen again. Maybe I missed something.
The Cuban men in Miami that overwhelmingly voted for Trump.
So those crazy Cuban men, I'm sorry, those Cuban men in Miami who overwhelmingly voted for Donald Trump, they're not crazy. They're not ridiculous or crazy. But guess who is ridiculous and crazy?
Those ridiculous, crazy black men that did vote for Trump. We've got to reach those people. We've got to reach the Cuban men in Miami that overwhelmingly voted for Trump. So she talked about Michael.
All right, anyway, shout out to all the dusty black men, all you dusty brothers, all of us dusty black men. Shout out. Just another long line of insults that we had to deal with. Look, foundational black American women are being disgracefully represented by some of the most miserable and disconnected voices in media today. Whoopi Goldberg, Sunny Hostin, and Joy Reid, okay? Now let's break this down. Because these women do not and cannot speak for the interest of foundational black American women. Whoopi, despite being the only woman with FBA roots, has long turned her back on the community. She's a proud divester. She's chosen partners outside of the black race, and which is her right, but don't expect her to stand up as an authentic voice for black unity or the struggles for the black family that we currently face. she's not living that experience anymore. So how can she authentically advocate on behalf of Black women or the Black community in general? Then we have Sunny Hostin and Joy Reid, two women who are not foundational Black Americans. Why do they know about our legacy? I mean, what do they know about our legacy? The fight, the generational trauma, the triumphs that FBA women carry on their shoulders every day, they don't. Yet these women are sitting there in those high platforms talking about us, pushing their own narratives and pretending to understand the complex realities we face. How can they claim to represent a community they have no real connection to? And see, this is part of the broader problem, where people outside of our community, or even those who've distanced themselves from it, are given these massive platforms to speak for us, and they do not. And they undermine the very values that have held our community together for generations. Whoopi, Sunny, and Joy, none of them can claim to truly represent our interests or the interests of foundational Black American women, because their personal agendas and detachment from our struggles completely disqualify them. Look, we need real voices from within the community who understand the daily challenges, the systematic obstacles, and the cultural richness of what it means to be a Black woman, a foundational Black American woman in America. And these women on The View, they don't represent them. They represent the media, okay? MSNBC, they're out of touch with the perspective that caters to mainstream audiences, but they do very little to uplift or empower the community. And we have to start calling it out for what it is: a misrepresentation and a betrayal of foundational Black American women and foundational Black American people. These women are cosplaying. Now, I want to specifically talk about Sunny Hostin and her recent comments, okay? And by the way, I didn't introduce myself. My name is Dennis Sperling, also known as the Blizzard King. Those of you guys who just showed up a few days ago after that video that I put up went viral, 50,000 viewers inside of a day. That's pretty good. But make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, man. Show me some love. Shout out to all my wrench mob. Shout out to all my members, man. Shout out to everybody who's coming through, man. I appreciate you. I got love for you. We're going to chop it up. I don't give relationship advice, okay? I'm an advocate for Black men, which means if you got something bad to say about Black men, I'm probably going to have something bad to say about you. That's pretty much how it goes. So nevertheless, it seems as though the brothers, the brothers are in high demand, aren't they? You see? They want to know what we're doing. And the reason they want to do that is because of this current political season. I'll share this with you guys. I think this is interesting. Hit the number one button if you can hear it.
In particular. Sometimes there's a trend line. You know, I look at the polls all the time, and sometimes there's a trend line that I never noticed before and make me go, whoa. This is one of them, all right? This is the Democratic margin among Black men under the age of 45 in presidential elections. You go back to November of 2012, what do you see? You see Obama by 81. Clinton only won him by 63. Then we're all the way down to Biden last time around by 53. A tremendous drop already. And then you take a look at the average of the most recent polls, and Kamala Harris.
They are just finding this unbelievable. They can believe Black men are voting for Donald Trump or the Republicans in general. And now they're starting to see the trend.
Is up by only 41 points. That is about half the margin that Obama won them by back in November of 2012. And this, I think, is, you know, when Barack Obama goes in last week when he was in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, essentially talking to young Black men, he made it seem like it was a Kamala Harris specific problem. This is part of a.
That's not just it. And see, the other thing is they're putting these pundits on blast. We thought you had them under control.
Right smack dab in the middle of that interview, and this is what we found in the second line. Right now, according to our numbers, Kamala Harris is only getting 67% of the black vote. Now contrast that to Joe Biden and Barack Obama. They're well over 90% of the Democratic vote there. Why is that number so soft?
Listen, in a few weeks when I gather my family for Thanksgiving, there'll probably be close to 100 of us, and I can tell you.
He didn't ask you about Thanksgiving. That man did not ask you about Thanksgiving, Miss Bottoms. So anyway, the brother's on everybody's mind, okay? And recently, and I'm gonna let y'all hear this horrible video again by Sunny Hostin, so you guys can be.
And we're looking at who is voting for Trump. You've got 53% of white women that voted for him in 2020. We've got to reach those women. We've got to reach those ridiculous, crazy black men that did.
Somebody type ridiculous, crazy black men. I want you to keep rolling that out, okay? Now, here's the thing. Her recent comments, Sunny Hostin is her name, and she's on The View. She refers to black men. That's us. That's us dusty black men, right? She voted to us, those of us who voted for Trump, as ridiculous and crazy. And it's not just insulting, it's deeply offensive, especially coming from someone who is not foundational black American. Let's be clear, Sunny Hostin is Puerto Rican. She's not FBA. And while she may identify with the broader struggles of being a person of color in America, she does not share the same historical or cultural experience as FBA men or women. And for her to stand on a mainstream platform like The View and casually dismiss the political choices of black men in such a derogatory way is nothing short of disrespectful. Black men, particularly foundational black American men, have been the backbone of the most progressive voting bloc in this country. And these men, us, okay, who we consistently show up to the polls, not just for presidential elections, but for the local and the state elections, knowing full well the power of our vote. Yet here, Sunny, a woman who doesn't share in the legacy of systematic oppression faced by FBA men, who hasn't lived the specific black American experience, is standing on national television labeling us crazy for exercising our democratic right. And that's not just offensive, it's downright dangerous. It feeds into the long-standing narrative that black men are irrational or incapable of making informed decisions, a narrative that has been used for centuries to justify our disenfranchisement, our marginalization, our over-incarceration, and sometimes our annihilation. And so we have to take this serious. The irony here is that Sunny has no issue when it comes to other voting groups. She spoke about white women. She spoke about Cuban men. Specifically, she spoke about Hispanic men, but Cuban men down in Miami who overwhelmingly supported Trump. But when it came down to black men, her tone turned venomous, calling us out in a way that she didn't dare do those other groups. Why is that? Somebody type, why is that, in the chat room? Why is it that foundational black American men, the most consistently loyal Democratic voting bloc, get painted as crazy, while others who did the same thing get a pass? See, Sunny's Puerto Rican heritage adds another layer to this. As a Latina, her experience and the struggles of her community, while significant, do not parallel the centuries-long fight that black men in America have had to secure civil rights, to have a political voice, or even just to die for our country as men in the military. She does not even understand our very humanity. For someone from outside the culture, outside the community, to step in and use language that diminishes the contributions and the intelligence of black men is offensive, and it shows a blatant disregard for the unique burdens that black men have carried in this country. Sunny's comments are just tone deaf. They're not just tone deaf. They're rooted in the same historical disrespect and vilification that black men have faced for generations. FBA men have the right to vote however we see fit, and without being chastised and ridiculed or demeaned by someone who neither understands our experience nor shares in our history. Her remarks were out of line, and it's time we call these so-called allies who think they can speak down on our community, call them out and get and make sure they suffer the consequences of it. Now, let's look at Ms. Hostin's critique. Let's be clear. Her comments about black men who voted for Trump being crazy and ridiculous. Number one, they're inaccurate. Okay? They're offensive and they're tone deaf and they're rooted in a long history of disrespect directed towards black men in this country. But number one, they're inaccurate. See, this isn't just about politics. This is about the way foundational black American men have been historically treated, politically, socially, and economically, and how people like Sunny feel comfortable continuing mistreatment without a second thought. Let's break this down. When Sunny talks about reaching the 53% of white women who voted for Trump in 2020, she doesn't insult them. She doesn't call them crazy or ridiculous. She approaches them as a group that needs understanding and persuasion. And the same courtesy is extended to the Cuban men in Miami who also overwhelmingly voted for Trump. But when it comes to black men, she didn't offer any respect. Instead, she chose to throw insults, crazy and ridiculous. You see the problem here? Everybody in the chat room, if you see the problem here, type problem in the chat room. Huh? See, instead of coming at us with courtesy, she comes at us discourteously and with disrespect. It's really, truly a selective outrage. It's rooted in deeply ingrained disrespect for black men, particularly foundational black American men who have fought harder than any other group for the right to have our voices heard in this country. Now, here's where Sunny is just flat out wrong. Black men are not crazy or ridiculous voters. We are actually the most progressive male voting bloc in the United States. In 2016, 81% of black men voted for Secretary Clinton when she ran for president. And let me repeat that. Over 81% of black men voted for Hillary Clinton when she ran for president. Meanwhile, only 32% of white men cast their vote for Clinton. So why are black men being singled out, browbeaten, and called names when their voting record is clear? Why is there such comfort in disparaging black men? Why all other groups get a pass except black men? And the answer is simple. It's rooted in a historical context where black men have always been seen as disposable, as scapegoats, as easy targets. And this goes back to centuries, for centuries. It continues today with comments like the ones made by Sunny. Black men are politically and socially, economically beaten down, and society, both black and white, has made it acceptable to do so without consequences. See, people like Sunny with their high titles and their influential platforms feel comfortable lashing out at black men because they know the backlash will be minimal, if any. And Sunny's background as a Boricua, as a Puerto Rican woman, also adds insult to injury. She doesn't share the legacy of systematic oppression that we share. She hasn't walked the shoes in a black man who's been politically disenfranchised and socially marginalized and economically undermined for generations. Yet she feels entitled to sit on that platform and publicly denounce us in this harmful way. And she has no idea what it means to be a black man in America. And her remarks show that she doesn't care to understand. Shout out to Age of Machines. Thank you for being the first person to contribute to the super chat. Good looking out, fam. I appreciate y'all. Let's do this. I want to play this video that this young lady put up in the response. I'm going to just let it roll through. And y'all just check it out. This is a sister who came out the woodwork And I have some things to say about it, but I'm going to just let it roll through. Y'all check this out.
Was in discussion with her
Very
colleagues around the table about what needs to happen during this 2024 presidential election cycle.
When we're looking at these polls and we're looking at who is voting for Trump, you've got 53% of white women that voted for him in 2020. We've got to reach those women. We've got to reach those ridiculous, crazy black men that did vote for Trump. We've got to
Somebody type ridiculous, crazy black men in the chat room.
Reach those people. We've got to reach the Cuban men in Miami that overwhelmingly voted for Trump.
So she talked about the women and the Hispanic men. But when it was time to talk about black men, she called them the crazy, ridiculous black men. Yeah, you heard me right. The crazy, ridiculous black men is truly outrageous. And in fact, it is dangerous. And there are connective tissues to how Black American men have been treated historically in this country.
Now, I want to take the time to say this. The real issue isn't about who black men are voted for. It's the fact that people like Sunny think black men shouldn't have the freedom to choose their candidates without being vilified. Every other voting bloc, be it white, Hispanic, Asian, Muslim, whatever, they have a right to vote how they choose without being labeled as crazy or ridiculous. So why is it different for black men? Why is their assumption that black men need to be controlled? Somebody type control in the chat room, and that our political choices should be dictated to us by people like Sunny Hostin. See, this is nothing but a continuation of the long-standing public lashing black men have had to deal with, and it's completely unwarranted. Black men have earned the right to vote whoever we choose without being chastised or disrespected. And the fact that people like Sunny feel comfortable saying these things just goes to show how deeply rooted this disrespect in our society is. So ask yourself, why do black men, especially foundational black men, face this type of treatment? Why do people of influence like Sunny feel they're so at ease to attack us publicly? See, Sunny's comments, it wasn't just a slip of the tongue. It reflected on how black men are still seen in this country. And until we begin to address that, and until we hold people accountable for these statements, they're going to continue to see us and hit us with this type of disrespect. But as black men, we need to continue to stand firm and vote our interests. And I tell you brothers that all the time, vote your interests, vote who you see fit. But in the meantime, demand respect, demand the respect we deserve, whether Sunny Hostin or anybody else likes it or not. I'm gonna let this sister finish talking.
In other words, this moment from President Barack Obama giving a stern lecturing to black men, to Sunny on ABC's The View, mainstream media, referring to black men as both crazy and ridiculous, because it is wrong. Black men are the most progressive male voting bloc in the United States of America. In 2016, over 81% of black men gave Secretary Clinton their vote. Over 81%. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ledger, white men, only 32%. So why is it that folks are trying to browbeat black men when it is empirically unwarranted, but yet folks feel very comfortable in doing it? You know why? Because it is rooted in a historical context in this country.
Now, I appreciate this young lady talking about the historical context, but it's more than that. There's an elephant in the room, and I'm gonna talk about that in a minute. Y'all hit the number one button.
That makes it very easy and very clear that black men can be beaten down in this society, politically, socially, economically, and nobody even gives it a second thought. Now, the people who are saying these things, some people understand that historical context, and some people might not necessarily understand that historical context. It is a public lashing of black men. Mm-hmm. And even some in the media have said that President Obama did not go far enough in his chastisement of black men. And I simply don't understand.
What that sister is referring to is the recent comments that Barack Obama made in Pittsburgh at Kamala Harris's campaign headquarters, where he literally lectured black men and basically told us we were sexist and stupid. So that's what she's talking about. I've played that video enough times, so I think you guys get it. Okay, so let's finish this.
Now, because what else should President Obama have done making reference to black men and how they will vote during this election cycle? I mean, should black men be taken out and literally beaten? We must think about these things. And those of us who have cachet or have greater influence must think about these things in a deeper way. Black men in any election cycle, 2024 included, have the right to choose the candidate or candidates that they want to vote for without being vilified, chastised, told what to do, and more importantly, being called crazy and ridiculous.
Somebody type crazy and ridiculous in the chat room. Remember, brothers, we're crazy and ridiculous. This is what Sunny Hostin has said about us. This is what this public figure, this educated, intelligent woman who has a public practice. Imagine if one of those white women on that show, Joy Behar, had called black men crazy and ridiculous. We would call that racist. But because Sunny Hostin is Puerto Rican or Afro-Latino, whatever you want to call it, she gets a pass. We're going to analyze that. Let's
just as any other voting bloc, be they women, white, black, Hispanic, Asian, Arab, or other, be they men, black, white, Arab, Asian, or any other identifying quality, those various voting blocs have a right in the United States of America, at least that's what we say, to vote the way they want to vote. So ask yourselves, why are black men being treated differently from others? And more importantly, why do people of title, of high title, high influence, or not so much of a big title, maybe not so much influence, but feel incredibly comfortable calling out black men only? Ask yourself that. It really is about our construction and how we are socialized in this country.
So that's the question. Why do they feel so comfortable doing it? And that's what we want to get at. Okay. Now, this sister in question, she raised some good points. And when she asked, why is it that folks feel so comfortable browbeating black men when it's completely unwarranted? Okay. And she's right. And it is rooted in a historical context. It goes back to slavery and Jim Crow and beyond, but there's something deeper she's missing. Something that we just can't gloss over. See, these women are not foundational black American women. Sunny Hostin, right? She's a Puerto Rican woman, raised in the Bronx, went to a Puerto Rican high school. She feels completely free to make disparaging remarks about black men because for decades, our own foundational black American women have been the loudest voices publicly disrespecting and tearing us down. And see, and they've done that to black men across every form of media. And that's a hard truth. See, for generations, the narrative in too many of our movies, too many shows and music and books and social media has been black men ain't this, black men ain't that. Think about it. From talk shows in the 1990s like Oprah Winfrey to modern reality shows, from Tyler Perry movies to social media influences, there's been a consistent portrayal of black men as deadbeat fathers, criminals, cheaters, and unreliable partners. And it's become normalized. Let's talk about the 1990s and the early 2000s when shows like Oprah Winfrey Show and Ricky Lake were filled with stories about black women standing up to their no good black men, airing every grievance to millions of viewers. Now fast forward to today, and the reality TV shows like Love and Hip Hop or even mainstream movies portray the same things. And there's a pattern here. Black men are consistently demonized as if we are the sole cause of every problem in the Black community. And who's been leading that charge too often? It's been our women. And for decades, Black women have openly criticized Black men for everything from their financial struggles to their relationship choices without acknowledging the larger systematic issues at play. When the narrative is this one-sided for so long, it creates an environment where even women who are not foundational Black American, like Sunny Hostin, feel perfectly entitled to join in on the bashing. See, they see Black women tearing down their own men and assume they can do the same. And they feel they can do it, and shout out to Barry Little. And I'm gonna make sure I read everybody's super chats and cash apps and whatnot. I just want to get through this point, okay? Now, as I was saying, this Afro-Latina woman, this Puerto Rican woman, when she sees Black American women or foundational Black American women tearing down their own men, they assume they can do the same without fear of pushback. You didn't see her tearing down Puerto Rican men, did you? She wouldn't say anything about those Cuban men in Miami, would she? Huh? Because she's afraid of the pushback. And that's why you have women like Sunny feeling bold enough to call Black men crazy and ridiculous, because they've seen foundational Black American women do it for decades without consequences. So look how many music videos and songs Black female artists have used to perpetuate these ideas. From I don't need no man to INDEPENDENT, if you know what that means. And that was a Boosie song, right? Or the Beyonce song, Independent Woman. The message is clear in those songs. Black men are unnecessary and disposable. Our music, which once promoted unity and family and community and love, has been replaced with narratives that glorify division and self-reliance at the expense of the Black man. And it's been so widespread that now women outside of the community feel they have the license to join in the chorus. Let's not forget social media, where some of the loudest and most toxic conversations about Black men are happening. You can find countless viral videos of Black women disparaging Black men for their dating choices, their financial status, or even just their appearance. I mean, the harshest critics of Black men online are oftentimes our own Black women, and the algorithm loves it. The algorithm promotes it and pushes it and amplifies it, and it just becomes entertainment. Let me tell you something. I'm not saying that Black men don't have issues. And I'm not saying that Black men should not be held accountable where it's necessary. I'm not saying that. I am absolutely not telling anybody looking at this video that we are perfect. I am not saying that at all. However, and when a lawyer says however, that means I'm about to reverse track. However, Cuban men and Hispanic men in general, they have their issues too. Just like so many other groups of men on this planet. Accountability is important for all men, regardless of their race or their background. What I'm saying is that this unchecked, open disrespect of Black men by Black women over decades has created a toxic culture. It's a culture where outsiders who would never disrespect their own group of men in public. These non-FBA women like Sunny Hostin and Joy Reid, they feel fully entitled to join in on the public flogging of Black men. They see how our women have torn us down on public platforms, and they internalize that disrespect, believing it's acceptable to mock and degrade Black men because we've allowed it to happen unchecked within our own community. Let me give you a comparison. Do you think Sunny would ever refer to Cuban men the way she just called Black men crazy and ridiculous? Huh? Absolutely not. She knows better. She knows full well that if she disrespected Cuban men the way she disrespected black men, Cuban women and men wouldn't tolerate it for 1 second. The Cuban community don't open the door for outsiders to disparage their sons and their husbands and their fathers in public. They protect their men fiercely. And that's the key difference. Cuban men understand the importance of guarding the image and reputation of their men. They don't invite the world to pile on and tear down their community's men because they know the strength of their community is directly tied to how their men are perceived and respected. Sunny knows that if she dare to publicly call Cuban men crazy or ridiculous, the backlash from Cuban women and Cuban men and Cuban grandmas and abuelas and abuelos and tias and the whole comunidad would be severe and it would be unapologetic. She would be hit with immediate outrage because Cuban women and men in the community itself refuse to let anyone inside or outside the community publicly disrespect their men. There's a deep level of respect and solidarity and protection there in that community. And it simply doesn't exist the same way in our community, and that's the difference. Now, there's some reasons why it's like that. There's some reasons why our people are divided that actually have nothing to do with us. But nevertheless, that's why you don't see Sunny or any of these other non-FBA women feeling comfortable enough to disparage Cuban or Hispanic men or Muslim men or any other group of men publicly, because they know those communities will close ranks and defend their men and not tear them down in front of the world. And here's where it gets real. Sunny Hostin and the rest of those people who pick on black men, they're cowards. They pick the easy target because they know they can get away with it. They attack black men because they know there's little to no backlash when they do. They're not bold, they're opportunists. They wouldn't dare make the same comments about Cuban men, Hispanic men, Muslim men, or even white men, because they know those communities will push back and push back hard. They know they'll face real consequences if they step out of line with those other men. I bet she wouldn't say that to those Jewish men who are going to vote for Donald Trump because of the debacle that the Democrats have allowed to happen in Israel and Hamas. I bet they won't call those fellas ridiculous or crazy. They'll get canceled immediately. But when it comes to the black man, they feel safe because they watch black men get disrespected for years, if not decades, by our own sisters and by a society that knows they can get away with it and no one is going to step in and defend us. So this is why they're so comfortable doing it. They're cowards who take the easy route, knowing there'll be no serious pushback. But see, in our community, for too long, black men have been open season for criticism. And it's not just from outsiders, it's from our own women. And Sunny has clearly seen this. She's witnessed how our women, our foundational black American women, have aired their grievances about black men on national TV, on social media, and in movies and music. And she's seen black men get dragged down and ridiculed by the very women who are supposed to stand beside us. And this is what emboldens her. This is what makes her feel entitled to disrespect black men on a national platform like The View. She knows that in our community, it's become acceptable to degrade black men without consequences. And the same thing goes for Joy Reid. And that's why Sunny feels so comfortable calling black men crazy and ridiculous for our political choices. She's not speaking from a place of understanding or concern or empathy. She's speaking from a place of arrogance and entitlement, and entitlement emboldened by years of seeing black men torn down by our own women and by this system. And she's accepted the unspoken invitation to join in on the public flogging, thinking it's perfectly fine because after all, you know, if black women can do it, why can't she? She black, right? Some kind of black. See, this is not just about Sunny Hostin or The View. It's not about Joy Reid or MSNBC. It's not about any of that. It's about a much larger issue. For too long, we've allowed ourselves as black men to be disrespected without pushing back, without defending ourselves, without saying something. This culture of criticism has made us easy targets, and now we have outsiders feeling bold enough to pile on. And this ends now. Brothers, you got to start standing up and reclaiming your respect. We can't sit back and let anyone, any inside or outside the community, tear us down without consequences. The protection from black men must come from ourselves, not from people who view us as expendable or worse, as their own property. Now, brothers, you all do some criticism. Your sisters have the right to criticize you and speak to you, but it needs not be public. If your woman, your mother, your sister, your daughter has some criticism for you, by no means am I telling you to shut her down and tell her she doesn't have a right to say what she needs to say to you. That's not what I'm telling you. And on the flip side, brothers, you have a right to speak to your woman, speak to the women in your family, and criticize them. But make sure on both parts, you do it from a place of love. Because I detected nothing but venom when it comes from people like Sunny Hostin, venom and hatred. That's what I see. Now, sisters, I want you to hear something. And shout out to everybody who's contributed to the Super Chat, the Cash App, and the PayPal. Make sure I get to you in a minute. Shout out to Alonzo Dunn. Shout out to Blue Baggins, Barry Little, and everybody else. But sisters, I want you to hear me. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. And I know we got some ladies in here. All you lovely ladies in here, type lovely ladies in the chat room. I know you're here. Y'all been showing up. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Let's talk about the pink elephant in the room. The real issue that too many people are afraid to acknowledge. Why is it? Because I've seen so many sisters step up and come to our defense, even with Barack Obama. Y'all remember all them ladies? I got a couple of the videos. I might pull some up. A lot of ladies showed up to defend the brothers. Where'd all that come from? Why are there so many black men, black women who spent decades speaking so harshly, so openly, and at times viciously about black men? Why are they suddenly up in arms when people like Sunny Hostin and Joy Reid and Whoopi Goldberg come after us for our political leanings? Why is that? Why is that? After being far more critical than Sunny, some of you ladies have said some stuff way harsher than what Sunny said. Huh? She couldn't get down in the dirt like y'all did with ooh-wee. But now these same women are offended when black men are attacked. Let me tell you why. It's because in our sisters' minds, they believe they're the only ones allowed to talk bad about us. You hear me? Look, black women feel that they're the only ones allowed to talk disparagingly about black men, period, okay? For decades, black women have controlled the narrative when it comes to criticizing black men. And now you got someone from the outside, this black Latino woman from Puerto Rico, hot Sunny, who? She thinks she's entitled to talk back. She's stepping on their toes. So it's not that they're suddenly protective of us out of love or respect, or they have developed this great admiration for us. It's that they see us as their possession. And they believe only they have the right to tear us down in public. And this isn't protection coming from a place of genuine concern or admiration. This is about ownership. And so let's unpack this because it's heavy. For too long, the sisters have viewed their relationship with black men not as a partnership, but as a hierarchical a hierarchy where they're on top, and we exist to serve their interests, and that's just 100 with you. You see, they let us think we in charge, I guess, sometimes until they determine that we're not, and that's gone on for too long. And society, this society with the policies that have been instilled that artificially uplift black women, that reinforces that dynamic. Look at the media, the culture, the history, and the constant portrayal of black men as broken, as failures, as the reason for every problem in black society or in our community. Who's been at the forefront of that narrative? It's been our women. Not all. And I'm not talking about all the sisters. It's not all women. It's not all of our sisters. Some of us recognize that that's trash and they don't agree with it. And they call them pick-me's. Shout out to all the pick-me's. I love me some pick-me's. Where my pick-me's at? Shout out to all the pick-me's. Okay? But the truth is, our sisters have criticized our fatherhood, our ability to provide, our relationships, and even our very existence. You got a certain sect of horrible women on the internet basically calling black men bullet bags. And this is how far it's gone, okay? Yet when you see somebody like Sunny or Whoopi or Joy step in and make the same sort of criticism in a light way, you got black women who take issue with that. But why? Because in their minds, they have staked a claim over us and they see us as their property. It's the same way a boss or owner or overseer or master feels when someone else criticizes or tries to control what they believe belongs to them. It's not about love and protection. It's about power and control and dominance, fam. They want to maintain the exclusive right to tear us down because for decades, they've held that power unchecked. Look, this idea that we as black men are their property is rooted in something much deeper. It's a toxic dynamic that has been fostered for generations of sociological or societal manipulation, political manipulation. And historically, black men have been stripped of our autonomy, our ability to lead, and our roles as head of the household. We've been economically emasculated with these democratic policies that uplifts the black woman, artificially giving her welfare and EBT and set-asides and free shots at education. They've been uplifted by the same Democrat Party that came up with the 1995 crime bill and over-criminalized black men. That's the same Democratic Party that purposely did that, signed into law by Hillary Clinton's husband, Bill Clinton, and written up, literally drafted by the current president. The same Democratic Party did this. And y'all got the nerve to say Trump is more racist. I don't know what Trump is, but I know for certain Joe Biden is the most racist president that has ever been in office in my lifetime. And that includes Ronald Reagan, who said some very racist things. Nevertheless, these same policies that economically emasculated us, criminalized us, and has socially marginalized us, that's in place right now. In many cases, black women, as a survival mechanism, right, we're encouraged to step up and fill the void that the systematic oppression created. But somewhere along the way, the dynamic shifted and the partnership that once was about survival became about dominance. The love and respect and mutual support that should define our relationships as black men and black women turned into something else. It turned into a power struggle where black women became the loudest critics of black men, often holding us accountable for problems beyond our control, tearing us down publicly. And that in the moment someone else steps in to criticize us, it disrupts that power dynamic. And so Sunny's comments, while offensive, challenge the unspoken understanding that our sisters are the only ones allowed to criticize us publicly. And they're not upset that black men are being torn down. They're upset that someone else dares to do it. But here's where we need to draw the line. Black men must fully express our autonomy. We cannot wait for black women or anyone else, for that matter, to defend us. It's okay if they speak up for us, but we as black men must stand up and protect ourselves. For far too long, we've been sitting back letting others define us, letting others speak for us and criticize us without offering our own perspective. And that's why you have people like Sunny and others feel so comfortable tearing us down. It's because black men have been too quiet, too passive, and too willing to let others do the talking. It's time for that to change. And I mean right now, it's time for black men to be men. It's time for you brothers to begin to stand up and be men. Be men in your families, be the men in your households, be the fathers to your children, and most importantly, defend yourself. You're not even a real man if you got to sit back and let a woman defend yourself, defend you. Or even pay your way for that matter, unless that's your mama and you under the age of 18, but still. And I don't want to get off into that because Uncle D don't give relationship advice. But the bottom line, you need to be a man in every sense of the word. If we truly want to express our autonomy as black men, we must reclaim the narrative. We must stand up and say, no, this is who we are, and this is what we stand for. We can't keep sitting back waiting for black women or anyone else to speak up for us or protect us. Because let's be real. Number one, that's not manly. No real man is going to sit up and let some woman stand in front and take his licks for him. You brothers need to begin to stand up and speak for yourself. And your women will be a lot prouder of you if you do that. She may not like the fact that you've eased her off to the side and stepped to the front of the line, but she'll respect it for you. And the other thing is you got to consider this so-called protection that they're offering isn't coming from a genuine place of love and admiration. It's coming from a sense of ownership and duty because they feel like they own you. It's rooted in the idea that we belong to them and that they have a right to control our image and even our destiny. And that's not protection. That's just another form of control. We have to stop allowing anyone, whether they're within our community or outside of it, to define us, define who we are and set our limits, or our potential to or to decide how we should be seen in the world. We can't afford to sit back and let people speak for us anymore, brothers. We need to be men. We need to take control of the narrative, our image, of our right to exist as autonomous men. Black men must lead our own defense. We can't wait for our image to be defended by people who frankly have contributed nothing but tearing us down. And we can't expect those who see us as their property or those who feel sorry for us, because some of the sisters just feel sorry for us, right? It's not all of them that just think us, they just feel sorry for us and seeing us being publicly disrespected. They love their daddies, they love their sons, right? But we can't allow that to happen. Okay? Because see, if we allow others, whether it's Sunny Hostin, a Joy Reid, or Whoopi Goldberg, or even any other women, if we allow them to continue ridiculing us publicly without consequences, then we're giving them the power of our lives and our image and our legacy. And we can't allow that. Black men have to stand up for ourselves and protect our dignity and teach these public figures a lesson about singling us out for ridicule. They need to learn that black men are no longer going to be easy targets. We're not going to be scapegoats for the United States of America anymore, for everything wrong with the society. If they come for us, they need to know that we will defend ourselves. And not just with words, but with action. We will defend our political choices, our right to lead, and our right to be respected as autonomous men. It's time for black men to reclaim our voice. We've been passive for too long, allowing others to dictate who we are. From the media to our own communities, we've been defined by everyone but ourselves. That ends now. We no longer accept being spoken down to. We're not objects to be criticized or controlled or diminished by anyone, not Sunny, not Joy, not Whoopi, those miserable women. This is about autonomy. It's about claiming respect that we deserve. And it starts with us. We need to lead the charge in defending our own honor and our own decisions and our own image. We need to teach the world that Black men are not to be trifled with, that we stand up for ourselves, and we're not going to tolerate the targeted ridicule or disrespect. We have the power to change the narrative, but that means stepping up. Somebody type step up in the chat room. That means taking action. Somebody type take action in the chat room. That means not relying on anyone else to protect us, because no one is going to take care of our image like we would. Now, I'm going to take a quick break. I got 11 super chats. I like to get 20. That'll be plenty. But in the meantime, y'all hit the number 1 button.
What's up? Welcome to the broadcast. This is Uncle D.
People wash their ass in the tub, Kamala Harris.
You would tune in to Uncle D. D's Black Man Talk. Pull up, homie, take a seat. Don't be a shadow watcher every day. You learn something, then you earn something. Let them know and drop some money in the plate. It's getting cold, ladies, talking ratchet. There's a king here, grab your coat, zip your jacket. Keep quiet for a second, close your jaw. Turning Spurling, this ain't Furley, know the law. Talking Constitution, pushing pins when he shooting, give him that. Masculinity, just for the record, sprinkle that. You can keep your cat, gotta cut it. Only cat he rubbing, gotta love it. I call it Molly Buddy. Gotta vote your interest, voting earns. Presidential, this is for the money that I earn. When you gon' learn, my people, that evil mixed with evil. No matter what you're doing, baby, this ain't equal. Sometimes when you're special, you get hated. The test is for the best, you're damn right, my people made it. Uncle D, Blizzard King, you've been served, gotta notice. Now Black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you've been served, get your notice. Now Black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you've been served, get your notice. Now Black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you've been served, get your notice. Now Black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now.
Hey man, I'll do what I do.
Somebody need to whip your ass.
Get up and whip him, Sweets.
Hey, don't be putting the money in my hand all rough.
Take your ass out here. You buy you a Flowbee and cut your own damn hair from now on.
All right, welcome back to the broadcast. Shout out to everybody in the chat room. For you guys who don't know, we are talking about how Tethers and Divesters got comfortable criticizing criticizing crazy, ridiculous Black men. This is the video that we're talking about. You guys make sure y'all hit the number 1 button.
Polls, and we're looking at who is voting for Trump. You've got 53% of white women that voted for him in 2020. We've got to reach those women. We've got to reach those ridiculous, crazy Black men that did vote for Trump. We've got to reach those people. We've got to reach the Cuban men in Miami that overwhelmingly voted for Trump. So she talked about.
So, basically, fellas, we're
from Kamala.
This guy. Come on, y'all. Somebody type love letter in the chat room.
Letter.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, Kamala Harris sent us a love letter. That might have been a policy document. I read that as a love letter.
Somebody type love letter in the chat room. Here's the thing, fellas, let's be absolutely clear. The public disrespect towards Black men for exercising our right to vote in our own interests is not it's not just unacceptable, it's cowardly and it's disgraceful. Okay. And we need to make sure we address that. But in the meantime, what I'm going to do right now is I want to make sure I give a shout out to all my guys and girls, all the ladies and gentlemen who contributed to my super chat. My man, Age of Machine says, for the help you provide in representation of Black men, pains, risk, angles of attack they suffer. Thank you for explaining the origins of the innuendo and disrespect. No problem, brother. Thank you so much. I appreciate the cash app. Also, we want to give a big shout out to Teaching New Orleans. He said, gifted one Dennis Sperling podcast membership. Thank you for the membership, man. Shout out to you for doing that. Y'all make sure y'all become members. Notice a lot of women of color that get elevated to these positions are tethers and bed wenches. Here's what I got you to understand, and I want you Black American women to understand this. A lot of these people who come from overseas, they consider themselves Black. They're more likely than not Black in their country. So when they come here and they see foundational Black American women talking about Black men, they just take it upon themselves to be able to talk about Black men, even though they're not like us Black, okay? They might be Puerto Rican Black, Dominican Black, Colombian Black, Brazilian Black, West African Black, South African Black, East African Black, but then they'll come over here and talk bad about the Black men over here, but they will never say those things about the Black men in their country because they know better than to do that. Because if they do that, they'd be swiftly rebuked. And so, you know, there needs to be some sort of understanding of mutual respect that you don't talk about us because you don't want us talking about your people. And they would never do that to their own. And we just have to begin to put our foot down and not allow them to do that. Champion Rounds, fan of the message for a minute now, respect. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you. Very Little says, the only thing us crazy, ridiculous Black men owe the usual suspects in November is a good old-fashioned political AZZ whipping. Just say no to Kamala. Rick, kick rock Sunny. I'm telling you about that, man. And then my man said, with all due respect, my brother, why on earth do you keep saying our women? They are women, brother. Black women are women. A lot of brothers say they're not our women. They are. And we stuck together. And you can be delusional as you want to be, but this is what we have to deal with. And look, let me explain. And I know y'all don't like, I don't care. You know, brothers, I don't give a damn what you think. I'm going to tell you how it is anyway. That's why we call me Uncle D. I ain't going nowhere. I'm going to be sitting right here at the back. I'm going to be at the family reunion underneath the oak tree, smoking a cigar, talking about your butt. You understand me? And I'm going to be here every year. But the bottom line is they are our women. All you passport bros going overseas is great. Go overseas. The vast majority of Black men can't. So you're going to have to deal with our women, period. You might not like it, but that's the hand you've been dealt. And unfortunately, the men that came before you have ruined these women and set a precedent that makes them think that we're all supposed to behave like simps, or we all supposed to be suckers, or we all supposed to be weak. And now you're left with that burden of undoing that, but they're still our women. And here's the cold thing about it, brothers. There's no geographical solution for an emotional problem. If you were raised to be a simp in the United States, you're going to go right down to Colombia and be a simp. You're going to go right down to the Dominican Republic. You're going to go to Thailand. You go to the Philippines. You're going to be a simp over there, and you are going to have pretty much the same experience over there eventually with those women as you have in here. So let's just fix the problem here. I'm not saying don't travel. I'm not saying don't try something new. I'm saying let's begin to work on ourselves. What I'm asking you to do right now is stand up as men and begin to speak for yourself. Our women would have a lot more respect for us if we began to do that. The main issue that Black men and Black women have is that our women don't respect us. That's just it. And I don't criticize you, brothers. There's enough people out there criticizing you all. I love y'all. You know, I love you. I do anything for you. I stand in the cut for you. I speak up for you. I lose friends, lose clients. I lose money for you. But I'm still going to speak the truth to you. You see, I'm not going to be one of these reverse simps. What's that dude, Yada Collins or something like that? He was on he was out there with poor Anton Daniels. You had to deal with that young man and all his double speak. Look, did y'all see that Anton Daniels was debating Yada Awakenings? I saw a little bit of it. I'm like, man, I don't even know how you can sit there and talk to the man. Man said one thing one way and said something else another. But shout out to Anton Daniels for going on there and trying to speak. And I appreciate the compassion that the young man has for the condition of our people. But at some point, as a man, you have to say, look, enough is enough. We gotta end this cycle, and people are gonna have to start paying consequences for their decisions, and other people who come behind them won't learn. But nevertheless, there are women, brothers, and that's just something you got to deal with. Just like we're their men. You don't think Black women would trade us in if they could? Huh? You don't think they'll trade us in? They would, but we're theirs and they're ours. And we're going to have to deal with it. I'm just saying. Nevertheless, shout out to you, fam. I appreciate you. Big shout out to Alonzo Dunn. Let's get the legal class papered up. Yeah. Shout out to you, fam. I appreciate it. Dwayne Hot Milk. Keep representing masculine and free thinking Freeman. This is this lineup for, oh yeah, I need to get my line lined up. I'm working on it, but the other side don't grow in far enough. But anyway, thank you so much, Dwayne Hot Milk. Also, Urban Eagle. Thank you so much for the $5 super sticker. Also, Renee Jackson, October 16, 1995, Million Man March. I was at the Million Man March on October 16th, 1995. So I think it was a great idea. I mean, it was a wonderful occasion. I went there with my father and my brother, and it was one of the best events that I've ever attended in my life. I even went back to the Millions More March I think it was in 2015. So that was cool too. 20 years later. Yes, I went. Yeah, man. Shout out to LJ. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. And also Hootsie, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate all y'all. We have one more come through. Golden Gate, good looking out. The young warriors, your dreams are not negotiable. Get that intellectual property. Come up with disruptive business strategy and pimp it. Be patient and consistent, and you'll get it. Also, I want to give a big shout out to all my people who came through with the Cash Apps. Let me see here. I want to make sure I acknowledge my Cash App folks. Man, Mr. Bostic, thank you so much. I try not to read your whole names because I know you might want to keep your autonomy, and that's cool, man. But let me see who else we got. We got one more in here that came through with the Cash App, baby. And let me see here. Let me see if I can pull it. Man, I'm going to get it in a minute. Golly. All right. Mr. Paul, Mr. LaVange, and Mr. Quicksilver, and Mr. Robinson, Mr. Williamson, thank you so much. And I appreciate guys for your super chats. Now, we got 14 super chats. We didn't get 20. 6 more would be great. It ain't too late. Nevertheless, look here. Those of you who came in late, okay? We're talking about how these Tethers and Divesters got comfortable criticizing black men. And specifically, we're talking about the message that Sunny Hostin put forth, calling black men crazy and ridiculous. I just feel that that's just something we need to address. But see, here's the thing. When you have people like Sunny Hostin, when you have people like Whoopi Goldberg, Whoopi being a foundational black American, but she ain't dating black men. She's removed. And then also people like Joy Reid. They need to be called out. They need to be held accountable. They have consistently targeted black men for ridicule because we choose to think for ourselves, because we refuse to be sheep and follow the political path that they think is acceptable. That's cowardice, plain and simple. Shout out to my man Maceo Dingle. Okay? The right to vote is one of the most fundamental freedoms we have here in the United States, and no one has the right to shame us for making our decisions, the ones that we feel are best for us, at the ballot box. I tell you, brothers, all the time, vote your interest. If you are a member of a union and that union is supported by Democratic policies, brothers, you need to vote for the Democrats. If you are a small business owner and you want low taxes, you probably need to vote Republican. Some of you all are going to sit on the couch because you're not voting for either one of these crappy candidates. I support that too. I want you to vote your interest, or if your interests are not in voting, then don't vote. But what I don't want anyone to do is tell you what to do, because you are free men. And that is your fundamental right. And no one has a right to shame you for making your own decision at the ballot box. These folks who mock and attack us for exercising that freedom because they believe black men should fall in line with their agenda. They believe we should remain silent and vote how they dictate. But that's not how freedom works. That's not how democracy works. And we will not be bullied into submission. For too long, black men have been the punching bags for everyone, politicians, the media, and yes, even people in our own community. And they've used our political choices as weapons against us, calling us crazy and ridiculous for daring to vote in ways that serve our own interests. But let me tell you something. Black men will no longer be the scapegoats. We will not be silenced or shamed into voting for a system that doesn't serve us, or a political party that has purposely targeted the Black community and uplifted Black women while simultaneously pushed Black men down. That's not going to happen anymore, because that not only are you taking advantage of us, you're taking us for granted, and it mocks us. And when we refuse to bow down, now you want to call us crazy and ridiculous. To those who continue to pick on my brothers for voting their own interests, you are cowards. You're targeting us because you think we won't fight back. You think we'll just sit back and take it. And well, you know what? That time is over. Black men are standing up and reclaiming the narrative, and we're refusing anyone's targeting. We will vote how we see fit. Whether it's Trump, Kamala, whether it's the couch, the Green Party, or some other independent. Shout out to Joseph Ross. We got 16 super chats. I need 4 more, and I'll be ready to go. Here's the thing. If you have a problem with Black men voting their interests, the problem is yours, not ours. We will not be controlled or manipulated or disrespected. Black men are taking the lead in our own defense. And from this point forward, anyone who tries to ridicule or attack us for exercising our right to vote will be met with full force of our collective voices. We're done being passive. We're done being targets. It's time for Black men to rise and defend ourselves and make it clear that we're not going to be messed with. It doesn't matter if you're Barack Obama. It doesn't matter if you are Joy Reid. It does not matter if you're Sunny Hostin. It does not matter if you're Al Sharpton. Let me make something clear to all of y'all, and to all of my sisters who feel entitled to publicly bash us or disrespect us for not wanting to follow the Democratic ticket. We're not your property, sister. We don't belong to you. We're free men. And we may love you, and we respect you, and we appreciate you, but the bottom line is, with freedom comes the right to make our own decisions. We have a right to think for ourselves. And if you truly love us, you would let us live without needing, live our lives without needing your approval. The idea that Black men should somehow answer to Black women politically, simply because we share the same skin color, that needs to stop. We're not going to let you ladies control us or shame us or belittle us. We voted alongside you with the Democrat Party for decades. And look what the Democrat Party has done to the Black community. It's important to remember, sisters, that some things, and let me say this. Part of the problem is y'all talk too much. Part of the problem is for the past 60 years, y'all been talking too much. And that's why these other folk feel they can come in and talk bad about us. I don't hear Mexican women talking bad about their men. I don't hear these Puerto Rican women and Dominican women and these Muslim women talking bad about their men. And I know for sure that some of their men are horrible. I've read the statistics. So as we move forward, sisters, it's important for you to understand something. Some things are best kept to yourselves. You've heard that saying, keep your business out the street. Unfortunately, the women that came before you for the past 60 years, too many of them, in their role of perpetual victimhood, have been putting all Black men's business out in the street. Every problem, every grievance, everything, every time you have a problem with a Black man, you want to air it publicly or broadcast it for the world to see. And now, Brothers have to deal with the repercussions. Now they calling us ridiculous and crazy for something as simple as voting for one of the two presidential candidates. We are facing judgment not just from you, but from outsiders. These people feel comfortable ridiculing us because they've been watching you do it to us for years. And just because you may have an issue with an individual brother, a black man, that don't give you the right to generalize and attack all black men in a negative manner. That kind of behavior isn't helping anyone. It's just tearing us down as a community. You need to understand, when you publicly criticize and humiliate black men, you're doing more damage than you think. It's not just about airing out your own personal grievances. It's about feeding a narrative that black men are broken, irresponsible, unworthy of respect, violent, deadbeat daddies, all the stereotypes. And you handing these outsiders permission to pile on. To look at black men and say, well, even their own women think they're worthless. Is that really what you sisters want? Is that what y'all really want? See, it's a hard truth. But see, here's the problem, and here's the pushback. See, over the past decade, many of these black men, they've been pushing back. They've been fighting fire with fire. They turned this whole social media, internet, and they began to express their frustrations with black women. Haven't they? Haven't they? They start airing out their grievances about black women in general, even if it's just a particular woman they had a problem with. They start generalizing. But they've seen you air our business out. Their fathers, their uncles, their they've seen you air our business out for years. And now they're responding. And it's ugly on both sides. But see, here's the difference. While men with bad reputations can still find a place in society, even be admired for their rebellious bad boy persona, women don't have that luxury, though. See, society views women differently, especially when it comes to their reputation. See, a woman who is perceived as disrespectful or combative or constantly airing dirty laundry, she becomes unattractive, not just in relationships, but in how she's viewed as a potential wife or mother. And let's be real, when you tear down black men in public, you're not just damaging us, you're damaging yourselves. Black men already have a tough reputation to fight against. We've been dragged through the mud by society for centuries. And while that's no excuse, many of us have learned to live with it. I've told my brothers all the time, just embrace being the bad guy and reap the benefit of it. Most of these brothers understand what it's like to have somebody snatch their purse away from you when you get on the elevator, or look at you cockeyed when you walking by their car. We've just embraced the bad guy persona. But see, for sisters, for black women, the stakes are a lot higher. See, as a woman, you're expected to embody certain qualities, nurturing, grace, respect, and femininity. And these are the traits that make you desirable as wives and mothers, the traits that show strength in a different way than men. But when you get involved in these nasty public battles, when you start ridiculing and tearing down black men for all to see, you're not seen as strong or independent. You're seen as bitter and combative and difficult. And the perception is doing far more damage than it ever will to us. And it doesn't help when the black men begin to fight fire with fire. In other words, what I'm saying, you already look bad enough talking bad about your men, but then when your own men start talking bad about you, it don't look good. Now look, black men have gone a long way to reclaim our dignity and our self-respect and our place in the world. We got less black men in prison than we do. We have less black men in prison than we do in college. In other words, we got more black men in college than we have in prison. That wasn't the case back in 2006. We got 60%, almost 60% of black men who've reached the middle class before they hit middle age. That wasn't the case back in 1960. So we're doing the best we can. But the thing is, we're not waiting for anyone to defend us anymore. Black men don't care anymore about the public opinion because our reputation has already been dragged down so low. But you as black women, you still have a choice. You have more to lose reputation-wise. You can either continue to engage in this public bashing of black men, or you can recognize it's not worth it. Because once a group of women is considered as low as the men they criticize, it makes them unsuitable for marriage, for family, and for the roles that hold a community together. So the next time you feel the urge to publicly disrespect your baby daddy, your granddaddy, some random black man, I urge you to reconsider. Silence can be powerful. And when you stop airing out every frustration and grievance in public, you start protecting not just us, but yourselves. You keep your dignity intact. You preserve your reputation as the woman who should be cherished, valued, and respected. If you want to be seen as sugar and spice, or should I say brown sugar and spice and everything nice, then act like it. Carry yourselves with grace and strength, and know that not every battle needs to be fought in public. And at the end of the day, black men and black women, we need each other. But if we're going to heal as a community, if we're going to stand strong, then we need to stop tearing each other down for the world to see. We need to hold on to our dignity and our respect and our ability to stand together, not as enemies, but as partners in the fight for our own future. What these entertainers are doing, it's not just reckless, it's dangerous. When people like Whoopi, Sunny, and Joy use their platforms to purposely target and disparage black men, referring to us as ridiculous and crazy, they're contributing to the very stereotypes that have plagued us for centuries. This isn't just fun and games for us. This is life and death for black men in America. By attacking us publicly, these women are reinforcing the same negative stereotypes that have historically been used to justify our oppression. They're feeding into a system that already paints black men as violent, unintelligent, irresponsible, and worthless. Every time they open their mouths to insult us, they're making it harder for black men to survive in a world that already is stacked against us. We are already fighting against the dominant society, the media, and the justice system that consistently devalues black lives. But now, when our women, and especially women who don't even know or understand us, these non-foundational black American women from Africa or Puerto Rico or wherever you're from, when they join in the public ridicule, it amplifies the danger we face. The dominant society is always watching. And when they see black women or people cosplaying, women cosplaying as foundational black American women, tearing us down, where there's Whoopi, who hasn't seen a black man from years, or Sunny, a Puerto Rican woman raised in the Bronx, who has no connection to the daily struggles of black men in America, or Joy Behar, or Joy Reid, who's an immigrant whose family's roots lie outside of the African-American experience, they see a confirmation of the stereotype they've always believed about us. They say, well, If their own women are calling them crazy and ridiculous, then surely these black men really it must be as bad as we thought. And that belief filters into everyday aspects of our lives. Think about it. I want y'all to hear this. Every time the police pulls a black man over, what does he see? He doesn't see a human being. He sees a criminal, an enemy, a problem, a threat that needs to be handled. Every time an employer looks at an application from a black man, he doesn't see a potential asset to the community, to his company. He sees a liability. Housing, jobs, education, it's all the same. These stereotypes are killing us, and it's not just the dominant society pushing these stereotypes. It's our own women and these so-called black women who come here from these other countries and tether themselves to the black community who don't even understand our culture, of our struggles, or our pain. These women, they're reckless and they're cowards. They're playing with fire. And black men are the ones getting burned. They don't know us. They don't understand what it's like to walk in our shoes, and yet they feel comfortable using their platforms to perpetuate these toxic images. Whoopi Goldberg hasn't even been married to a black man in years. And she's speaking as if she knows our experience. Sunny Hostin was raised in a Puerto Rican community and didn't even grow up around the realities of foundational black American women, men, and feels entitled to disrespect us. Joy Reid has no real connection to foundational black Americans. And she's just jumping on the bandwagon to criticize and degrade black men as though she understands our culture. They are reckless. Their words have real consequences. Every time they perpetuate these negative stereotypes, they put our lives in danger. They embolden a system that already sees black men as disposable. They embolden our officers who think it's okay to put a knee on our necks. The employers who toss our resumes in the trash, and the landlords who deny us housing. And let's be real. Many of these stereotypes about black men are rooted in personal grievances of black women. Let's call it what it is. A lot of the time, these women are angry because of a boyfriend that left them for someone else, or because a husband didn't give them the money or attention they wanted. But instead of addressing these issues privately, they air their personal frustrations publicly and generalize about all black men. They take their personal pain and turn it into a public condemnation. They put all of us black men on trial for the actions of a few, and the entire world is watching. Look, this has been happening for 60 years. 6 decades, black women have been putting black men's business in the streets, portraying us as the enemy, as the problem. And what has the result been? Now we have the entire world, from the dominant society to our own sisters and these entertainers who don't even understand us, joining in on the attack. And the repercussions are real. Black men are beginning to fight back, though, and it's ugly. We've turned to social media to air our grievances about any and everybody who runs up, and I don't condone that kind of back and forth. There's a reason I call our sisters lovely ladies and I don't call them out their names, because I don't want the enemy, our real enemy, to take my words and use them against our sisters, because that don't help me either. That's why Dennis Sperling refers to black women as lovely ladies, even sometimes they do some ugly things, because I know who our real adversary is. But some people don't have that sort of forethought and wisdom like I do. And so they're saying very mean, nasty things about black women who they're raising, black women who raised them, black women who they fathered children with, black women who they live next to. But the truth is, black men have a lot less to lose in this war of words. Society already sees us as dangerous, as unwanted, But for women, especially black women, your reputation is everything. Women are supposed to be the mothers of society. They're supposed to be the nurturers. They're supposed to be the wives. They're supposed to be the better half. And when you publicly degrade yourselves, then your enemy sees that. And it makes all of us look less attractive. But as far as women, it takes away the potential for you being a wife and a mother, because even your own men will begin to see you in a negative light. And look, the sad truth is, society expects men to be tough and to have rough edges. They somehow think they can clean us up, just like a lot of black women think they can clean up some of these no good scoundboogers that they end up with. But see, our sisters are supposed to be the glue that holds the community together. And when you lose your reputation as nurturing, as caring, as graceful, you make it harder for yourselves to be seen as desirable for marriage or motherhood. You're dragging yourself down to the same level as the men you criticize. But the difference is we can live with that image. Sister, you can't. So to all you black women out there who think it's okay to publicly bash black men, let me warn you, you're doing yourselves more harm than good. And we're done sitting back and letting it happen. We're done letting y'all endanger our lives with your words. And while many black men don't care anymore because our reputations have already been dragged through the mud, I care. Because I have sons. And they're coming up right behind me. And so that means I have a lot to lose. And my fight here is personal because of my sons and because of the other little boys that you all see me paying for to go football and try to get them in college. I want to see them win. I want to see them be successful. I don't want them to have to bear the burden that so many other black men have had to bear because of the reputation that they had nothing to do with, these stereotypes. I don't want somebody like Sunny Hostin to get on TV and call black men ridiculous and crazy, and then my 16, 17-year-old son has to go to high school, and when they're talking about politics in their physics class, anything he says is already undermined by the fact that you have a woman who's supposed to be a black woman, even though she's a Puerto Rican woman, cosplaying as a black woman, talking bad about us. You making my life hard, ladies. And people like Sunny and Joy and Whoopi, you might not ever see this video, but you making my life hard. And there are millions of other black men out there who have this same experience. You're making our lives hard. And we're not going to take it anymore. This is Uncle D. I love y'all. As I always say at this time, I'm out.
Dennis Burley Podcast. Hit the like button, subscribe.